Hello, hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future, coming to you this week with some more information to help people make great decisions. So, as you know, this is C3 with Dr. B, where we are focusing on career exploration, career awareness, and career development. Now, you may say, what does all this college information that she's giving us have to do with C3? Remember, whether you go to a 4-year college, a 2-year college, become an apprentice, go into the military, we're all going to work. So we all need to be thinking about career awareness, career development, and career exploration at any age. So before I dive into tonight's programming, I'd like to remind folks that are here in Cumberland County and also people that live in other states and other counties within North Carolina to be looking out for local scholarships. This is the time now where seniors really need to be thinking about where are those local scholarships. Seniors, I hope you're all paying attention to what your school counselors are telling you. Your school counselors have such valuable information for you about local scholarships, how to apply for local scholarships. So I know many school counselors have websites for their school where they're giving that information, or they may have electronic newsletters, or they may be using their social media. So folks, pay attention to what your school counselor is telling you. So for those of you that are here in Cumberland County, I just wanted to remind you that the Cumberland Community Foundation site for scholarships is now opened. It opened up February 16th last week. And excuse me, talking too fast here. And it closes March 23rd. Go to the site, Cumberland Community Foundation, and you will be able to find out all the information about what is available to you, what you need to do in order to apply. But don't delay. Don't say, oh, I got until March 23rd. I'll just wait until March 15th. Get it done. What's really nice about this is you can go on, you see the timeline here. You can go on and you can find out about all the different types of scholarships that are available. Some of the scholarships are need-based, which means it's based on your free application for federal student aid, and some are merit-based. So you need to see what applies to you. Some of the scholarships may be very specific to one high school in the county, or that you have to be attending a particular college. So again, students, it's up to you to do the research and find out what's available to you. And again, for those of you that are not in Cumberland County, North Carolina, please look at the local resources in your community. I know, for example, coming from the state of Rhode Island, we have the Rhode Island Foundation, which is similar to this one, but it has scholarships that pertain to students living in Rhode Island. We have a North Carolina Community Foundation scholarship site. So again, whatever state you live in, look for those community foundations and find out how you can apply to their scholarships. So please make sure you do that. College costs way too much for us to be lackadaisical about finding money or not taking it seriously. So for those of you that are joining me tonight, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here. As you come in, please let me know who you are and where you are. I'm always interested to see how far this broadcast reaches and who's listening. So again, join in if you have questions, you want to be part of the conversation. You know how to just make a comment and you'll come into the chat. So I really look forward to having a conversation with folks out there, finding out a little bit more about what questions you have. And this evening, I'm focusing on one particular aspect of applying to college. So what I'm going to talk about after the short 10-second break pertains a lot to juniors, but it also is valuable information for students that are in ninth and 10th grade also, so they can see what's coming about, what they need to be thinking about. And parents, hopefully this will answer some of your questions, because you don't always have a front row seat on what's happening with college admissions. So let's get going, and I hope you'll be joined back with me in about 10 seconds. See you then. So, one of the things I want to talk about, and this came about the conversation that I was having with the classroom teacher. So, some of you know, I'm also the college counselor at the Montessori School in Raleigh. And I was having a conversation with one of our teachers, Michelle. Michelle is the IB theater teacher and music teacher. So, as we were having this conversation, we were talking about the Common Application. And in the course of our discussion, I said, well, do you know that you can actually create a practice account? So when your students come to you with questions or may ask you a question when I'm not on campus, you'll be able to see what they're talking about. Now, Michelle and the other teachers at the school also serve as advisors for the students. So sometimes the students will come to them with a particular question. So I want folks to know that you can actually go to the Common App. And what I'm doing tonight, for you know how I'm all over the place sometimes. There are several college application platforms that can be used. Now, what I want students to really understand, you need to be talking to your school counselor and using the platform that they recommend for you. Because again, depending upon what kind of student management system they may have, depending upon how they have their procedures and policies already set up, please, your first line of defense, your first line of questioning, your first line of who you need to listen to is your school counselor. So let me show you the website for the Common Application. So this is the application platform where, as you can see, more than 1,000 colleges are on the Common App. Now, what do they mean by Common Application? There are certain pieces of this application that once a student fills out that portion of that application, every college that the student applies to that uses this particular application will receive that information. Now, there's also, after that common piece is taken care of, or what we call the core piece. So the core part of the application is something that all of the colleges that you are applying to that use this particular platform will get. Then colleges will also have their own questions or their own supplemental essays. But this is where you start. So parents are always asking me, how can I help my child? How can I help my student while they're applying to college? And that's walking a fine line sometimes, because we want parents to help, but we also want students to take ownership of this process. They're going to college. You're getting ready to spend quite a bit of money sending this young person off to college. If they can't fill out the college application. Now, I'm not saying that everyone can do it without any assistance, because that's what I do. I give students assistance, but at least creating the account, I always tell students, did you use the help section? Did you look at any of the videos that I sent you? Before you come and ask me a question, use the resources that I already gave you. Learn how to problem solve. Then if you're having difficulty, then we'll take care of that the next meeting. But again, so parents, you may want to help your student, but you don't want to be a helicopter parent. You don't want to be there. So what is this you're supposed to do? How does this go? Like, what should I be doing? So one of the things that you can do as a parent, or even teachers who just want to see what their students are facing, you can create a practice account. This came about several years ago when when people from the Common App listened to teachers and listened to counselors who said, we would rather be able to help our students by seeing what they see without having access to their live account. So the Common Application people created this particular feature where students can invite someone as an advisor to come in and look at their application. But here's the really neat thing. You can also see what students see by creating a practice account. So when you go over here where it says create an account, this is what you're going to see. So this window is going to open up. always taking a chance when I use live stuff because you never know what's going to happen. But you see here, so here are all the different folks who may be using the Common Application. So a first year student would be those students that are part of the class of 2023, excuse me, 2024. Well, actually, we're still in the 2023 application season. So the juniors, it hasn't officially opened for them yet. But first year students right now would be our current seniors. So this is where they would create their Common App application. There's also, if somebody is transferring from one college, whether it's a community college or another four-year college, and they want to use the transfer application on the Common App, this is where they would create their account. Educational professional, this is where it can be a teacher or a counselor, someone who's in education who is interested in finding out more about what the Common App asks so they can see what students are facing. You would use that. Parents, aunts, grandparents who might want to check it out, here's where you would do. You would click on parent or other adult. And when you click on that, it's letting you know that this is a practice account. So you can do everything a student can do except submit. Okay, so remember that. So you don't have to worry about accidentally submitting an application to a college. This is a practice account. You are not able to do that. They also have some usage tips here for you on additional support. So if you hit confirm, it's going to give you all the steps for creating your account. So again, I think this is a really good way for parents to be able to support their students without leaning over their shoulders, without asking them questions about the Common App. You can go in there and look. And sometimes your child's busy, they're doing something else. So this is a great way for you to become familiar with what they're looking at. Okay, so that's the Common Application. Now, another way students can apply, and this one, I shouldn't say this one's a little different. They're all different, but we had another application platform called the Coalition, and that was designed by another company who wanted to have a different way for students to apply. They really were focusing on maybe students that were underrepresented and looking at different ways to make the process a little more equitable for students. They have now merged with Scoir, Scoir. Scoir is a student management system that is used by many high schools to help students in their process. So it's a way for it's like project management. So when I'm using Scoir, so I'm at the Montessori School of Raleigh, like I said, one day a week, and we use Scoir. So when our students are just looking at colleges or doing research for colleges, or when we're communicating to each other about any career assessments that we may be doing, any discussions that we're having, all of our communication takes place within this platform. That saves us from looking through different emails. Oh, what day do they email me? Oh, how do I know what they're doing with this particular college? It's all on that platform. Now, not every school uses Scoir. So students, this is why it's so important to have those conversations, if you have not had them already, with your school counselor to make sure that you're using the platform that your school counselor wants you to use. Remember, your school counselor is the one who is sending in all your documentation, your transcript, making sure your recommendations are getting where they need to be, the school profile, the school report, the mid-year transcript, the mid-year report, if those are required by a college. So again, not everybody's going to be using Scoir. But for those people who do, this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can get this up here. So Scoir is just another platform where students can apply. Again, if your school is using this particular platform. So this is what the platform looks like when you go to the section that says apply for college. So all I'm not going through a lot of the pieces of this, the components of this, because as I said, not everybody uses Score, but I also want for parents who know that their student school is using Score, that they have some idea of what they're asking, very similar to the Common App. So again, they're asking the personal section, they're asking, contact information, demographic information. There's information in here about a fee waiver. So if a student has somewhere in Score, if a student has already indicated that they will be applying for financial aid, they will automatically be awarded a fee waiver. That means for each school that they apply to, they can do so at no cost. The fee is waived. The neat thing about if a school is using Score, if a student already has an account at their school, some of the information is pulled in from the platform that they're already using and populated into the application. So for example, my students that are using Score, if we choose to use Score for applications, they will not have to fill in their name and address and birth date, and some of that other information is just pulled over from the system that's already there. So again, this is another platform, college application platform, that schools may be using. So again, it's really important to find out what your school is using and what the procedure is in your school. Students, you save yourself so much grief and heartache if you have these conversations with your school counselor, if you're reading the information that your school counselor is sending out to you, if you're on your school's website and looking at your school counseling page and at the resources, please make sure you do that. And if you have any questions and you're not sure and you're not clear about what you should be doing, you should be having that conversation with your school counselor first. So this is Score. I'm not going to go into a lot of it, but these are some of the things. Just like Common App, it has essays, and students will pick one of these essays. This is their personal statement essay, so they will pick one, and the essay is anywhere from 500 to 650 words. I always tell people, if you can just think about maybe around 550, you're doing really good. Don't worry about it, but also don't get so caught up in, I've got to have 650 words. No, you have to have an essay that tells something about you that isn't found anywhere else in the application, that's coherent, that is something of interest to the reader, that is telling them something else about you that they don't know. So again, these are the questions from Score, from their application. And it tells you, so I've chosen that, so I've chosen a couple of colleges that are on my list. So it's telling me that this section is required by Beloit College and one other college that's on my list. So anytime you're in Score, if you're using that for your college application, it's important to make sure you're reading these notes sections, because if it said, this section is not required by any of your colleges, then you don't have to do it. But if it has at least one college, at least one requiring that particular section, then you need to fulfill that section. Okay, so this is what it looks like on Score. And this is where, students can put their essays in there. And it tells them down here in the red, your essay must be at least 250 words, which is the same as the Common Application, minimum of 250 words, maximum of 650 words. And as you're putting in your essay, whether you cut and paste it, whether you're typing it right into this box, it will keep count of the words so you know where you are. So again, before you hit submit, before you put your final essay in there, you're going to be doing your reviewing and revising and what have you of your application. So this is what Score looks like. Okay, so that's just the essay part. And again, there's some additional information. A lot of this is very similar to what we have in the Common Application. So part of what I really want to do is to get people familiarized with the application platforms that students may be using, and there are several. If you have any questions, we've got some people out there who have joined us, so I'd love to know again, like I said, who's out here, who's listening, who has a question, who would like to make a comment. But again, so we just finished looking at Scoir. We looked at the Common App, and I'll do a quick review towards the end. So here's another one that I want to share with you. Let me see if I can get this one up here. Good. So the next one I want to share with you is the Common Black College application. This is an application platform where students who are planning on applying to several HBCUs can apply to 67 HBCUs. They're all the ones that you see listed on here for a low fee of $20. Now, you have to create an account, and one of the things that you're doing as you're completing this application, there is a section where it will ask you to list your top 4 choices. So every college on this platform will receive your application. Now, if you want to ensure that more colleges than just the 4 you listed as your top choices are looking at it, you can always reach out to the admissions people and say, hey, I just sent in the Common Black College application. I just wanted to let you know because I am interested in your school. And on the application, you can only highlight your top 4 choices. So you need to make sure you do that. Now, here's one of the other things that's different about the Common Black College application. In addition to it only going to these 67 HBCUs, and for those of you that aren't familiar with HBCUs, there are 107 HBCUs, but not all of them use this application platform. So you really need to pay attention to what colleges are on here. So for example, if you wanted to apply to Morehouse or Spelman or North Carolina A&T, they are not on here. There are 67, there are 107 HBCUs. So one of the things that's a little different, if your transcript has to be sent, not if your transcript gets sent in, your transcript has to be sent in. In order for an official transcript to be sent in, your counselor has to create their own Common Black application account that allows them to then upload your documentation that is needed. So if you're going to use this particular platform, you need to let your school counselor know so that they can make sure that they get your information in. So again, that's the neat thing about this 67 colleges for a low fee of $20. Now, some people may say, well, can I use a fee waiver? Because with the Common application and with Scoir, you can use a fee waiver in order to apply to colleges. Because of that low fee of $20, you cannot use a fee waiver for the Common Black College application, and you also cannot ask for a refund. So again, the most important thing you need to do as you're just looking at these platforms is to read the directions to make sure that you're following everything that you're supposed to do in order to have a successful application submission. So again, this is the Common Black College application. Now, to go along with that, so you know there's a lot in the news now about the increased interest in historically Black colleges and universities. And as I said, there are 107. And people know, just like with other colleges, people know the ones that people talk about, the ones that they see bumper stickers for, or the ones that may be in the news because of having won some awards or doing certain programs in STEM. So it's on you to do your research and find out about colleges that may be of interest to you. So actually, the College Foundation of North Carolina, CFNC, is hosting on Wednesday evening a program where they are going to highlight the 10 HBCUs in North Carolina. Those 10 schools are North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Shaw University, Elizabeth City State University, Fayetteville State University, Bennett College, North Carolina Central University, Winston-Salem State, University, St. Augustine's College, Livingston College, and Johnson C. Smith University. So they'll have representatives from each one of those schools on that evening. And they'll also have folks on from CFNC who will have be there to answer your questions. This is open to anyone. You do not have to live in North Carolina in order to access this. And as you can see here, you go to cfnc.org, look for the page where it says the 3rd Annual North Carolina HBCU Showcase. And as you scroll down the page, you will see this link to register. Now, again, this is Wednesday evening, so if you're planning on registering, go ahead, get it done so that you get your link to the event and take care of it. So that goes along with the Common Black College application, but also helps you learn about the 10 HBCUs that are located in the state of North Carolina. Now, we've talked about the Common application. We've talked about applying through Scoir, which was formerly the Coalition application, and we've talked about the Common Black College application. Some colleges have their institutional application. That means when you go to their websites, there's an opportunity for you to use their own application. Now, what would be the advantage of using a college's their own application? It could be that maybe they're waiving the application fee. It could be if you use their application that you have less essays to write. There are so many different reasons, but again, this is where you have to do your research. So you have to find out if it's advantageous for you to use a college's institutional application, or if you should use the Common App. So for example, one of my students this year was only applying to 2 colleges by choice. So as we were looking at all of the components of the Common App, it actually was a much better use of the student's time to use the application from the college, to use their institutional application, rather than filling out all that information, extra information for the Common App, because the 2 schools that she was applying to required less information than the Common application did. Okay, so that's where it was an advantage to her. And I'm happy to say she's been accepted to both of her colleges. So that was a great use of her time. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So East Carolina, let's see if we're going to pull this up. So East Carolina University, when you go to their apply section, it tells you how to apply. The first bullet point tells you you can use the ECU application, the CFNC application for students here in North Carolina, or you can use the Common App. If you choose to use the ECEU application, it takes you to this window where you have to create an account, and then it will bring you to the ECU application. It tends to be shorter than the Common App. Again, why would people use another? If you can do all this on the Common application, why would you use another application platform? Now, the Common App, and students, listen very closely to what I'm going to say. The Common App does allow you to apply to up to 20 colleges. I do not recommend applying to 20 colleges, but for various reasons, some students will. It may have to do with the scholarship opportunities at those colleges that you feel you may qualify for. It may be that those 20 colleges really do all have something that you desperately want or feel that needs to be part of your college going process. So say you have used up your 20. You can't delete one and then add another if you wanted to go to 21. This is where using the institutional application would be a good thing to do if you're applying to that many. Again, remember, I think it's really most people I'm looking at, 6 to 12 applications. If you're really doing your research and narrowing that list down, um, with the craziness that's going on in college trends, I know students are applying to more colleges, but again, I usually recommend 6 to 12, um, give or take a few. So you've used up your 20 allotments on the Common App. This is where using that institutional platform may come in handy. Or if your school is using Scoir, then you can apply through Scoir if that college is using Scoir. So here's the other thing. The Common App, as I said at the beginning, over 1,000 colleges use the Common App. Right now on Scoir, I think when I checked earlier today, it was something like maybe about 115, 116 colleges. So colleges are not all on the Scoir platform. So this is again where using the Common Application platform might be to your advantage. So again, very quickly, platforms, Common Application, Scoir, formerly known as the Coalition Application, the Common Black College Application, and institutional application. So those are the ways that you can apply to a school. Those are different application platforms. One of the things that I do want to, let me see, I'm trying to think where I put this. Maybe I didn't put this up here. So one of the other things that I also wanted to remind students is of the upcoming college fairs. You can find all the information on last week's live. We have an HBCU college fair in Cumberland County at the Smith Recreation Center on April 22nd. And then NACAC, the National Association for College Admission Counseling, will be holding an in-person college fair in Charlotte, North Carolina on March 19th. So if you are living here in North Carolina, that is the only in-person college fair that NACAC will be having in our area. But there will probably be over 250 college representatives there. But there also will be a upcoming virtual. There was one already this month, and there will be one in March and one in April. So if you just go to nacac.org, you will be able to find that information. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about what I love to talk about. So here's our book recommendations for this week. So my first book recommendation is The Wind at My Back, Resilience, Grace, and Other Gifts from My Mentor, Raven Wilkerson. This is a memoir by Misty Copeland. For those of you that are familiar with Misty Copeland, she was the first Black principal ballerina at the American Ballet Theater. So both of the books this evening have to do with careers in the performing arts. A lot of times I have students who are considering careers in the performing arts. So sometimes I think it's really good to read about either fiction or nonfiction relating to that career piece. So let me just read you a little bit from the inside jacket cover of this book. The Wind at My Back tells the story of two unapologetically Black ballerinas, their friendship, and how they changed each other and the dance world forever. It's a wise and beautiful memoir of intergenerational friendship and the impressive journeys of two remarkable women. The Wind at My Back captures the importance of mentorship, of shared history, and of respecting the past to ensure a stronger future. So again, it's a great book to Christmas presents, birthday presents, students that are interested in dance, or students that are interested in reading about someone's life history and how they overcame societal barriers and obstacles in order to follow their dreams. And what I also like about this book is how it really focuses on the importance of mentorship. If you don't have a mentor as a young person, find a mentor. Find someone that you can ask those questions of. Find someone who you know is going to be a champion for you no matter what. So, again, that's The Wind at My Back by by Misty Copeland with Susan Fales Hill. And the second book, I actually already talked to you about it before, but when I mentioned it to you before, I actually hadn't finished reading it. And now I have finished reading it, so I definitely want to recommend this book to you. It's The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum. So Brendan is a violinist by trade. And what he did is he wrote this fiction book about, it's a great mystery. It's a mystery about a stolen Stradivarius, but even more important is the story behind how his family came in possession of the Stradivarius. And for those of you that are violinists or know anything about violins, the Stradivarius is probably one of the most coveted, most precious, most valuable types of violins in the world, and there aren't that many of them. And so this is a great mystery. And Brendan, it took me till almost near the end to say, oh, now I know who did it. So it was really good. And he's just written a second book, which I have not, it's on pre-order. I get ready to pre-order it. Does not come out till April 23rd, called Symphony of Secrets. And what I really like about this, again, is this is a book where students who typically don't see themselves in this world playing a violin because of societal obstacles, because of racism, because of just the systemic issues that we have in our country, can see themselves in this book. Okay, so I really recommend following both Misty and Brendan on social media, especially if you're interested in ballet or if you're interested in playing the violin or any other instrument. So that is what I have for you today. Again, college application platforms. This is something juniors need to be thinking about. Most seniors have already applied to colleges. There are still colleges that their deadlines are still open. So if you're a senior and you have not applied to a college yet and you want to, you need to start moving forward and getting that work done. For folks that are interested, I would love for you to subscribe to my newsletter, where you will get monthly information about college admissions, college trends, financial aid, and there's always one career highlighted. So in order to subscribe to the newsletter, you just go to this bit.ly, steps 140, and it will take you to the page where you can subscribe to the newsletter. And I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, at the same time this is playing on my Facebook page, it's also playing on my YouTube channel. So not everybody is on Facebook or wants to use Facebook. So this is an easy way for you to share these videos with people that you know by just sending them to the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions about college admission counseling, or if you want to know about Steps to the Future and how I help families eliminate random acts of college planning, you can always email me at drb@stepstothefuture.com. I thank all of you so much for tuning in this evening. I hope you learned something. I hope there was something that was useful to you. Let me know. Let me know what else you'd like to hear or talk about. I will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. And again, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy evening to come in, listen to the conversation, and hopefully learn a little bit. So take care, everyone, and I will see you next Monday evening. Be safe.